Welcome back to the Racing Mind video series, where we journey deeper into the human mind than anyone has ever gone before. In this video series, we untangle the ancient mystery of mental illness and teach you what you need to know before your racing mind gets the best of you. This groundbreaking series provides answers to some of the deepest mysteries of the human mind and reveals, for the first time in history, the precise cause of mental and emotional illness and the psychophysiological basis of a wide range of psychiatric disorders and associated medical conditions. These educational videos, which present concepts that are so new that they are just beginning to make their way through the medical field, are based on thousands of hours of direct patient analysis and clinical observation in conjunction with the latest research on psychiatric disorders from around the world. In the second video of this series, we discussed the idea that the spiritual body was the energetic essence or soul of the physical body. The head of the spiritual body is the mind, just as the head of the physical body is the brain. What we call thinking involves a dialogue between the mind and the brain. The emotional component of our thoughts is processed in the spiritual heart, which then relays those vibrations to the mind, which in turn relays them to the brain. That's why attitude has such a powerful influence on the activity of the brain. A peaceful disposition quiets the brain, and a turbulent disposition agitates the brain. In this segment of the series, we will discuss attitude in relation to neuronal hyperexcitability and psychiatric disorders. With the possible exception of sleep, attitude is the most effective natural way to keep the brain calm. It is self-evident that optimism and inner peace have a calming effect on the brain. Peace is by definition a lack of mental tension. Because the mind stimulates the brain, the less tense the mind is, the less stimulated the brain will be. This is demonstrated by the fact that the muscles of the body, which are activated by the brain, are more relaxed when the mind is more relaxed. At the same time, positive thinking preferentially stimulates positive circuits in the brain, which then perpetuate positive thinking by releasing the feel-good neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Unfortunately, however, maintaining a positive attitude is easier said than done in a world that is so full of problems and uncertainty. That is one of the reasons that faith in God is so critically important. The mind has two natures, a carnal nature and a moral nature. Our carnal nature is characterized by carnal instincts that help ensure our survival in the flesh. These include food gathering, territorialism, and other self-protective behaviors. Anything that threatens these leads to fear for our physical well-being. Our moral nature is characterized by moral instincts that help us grow spiritually and survive as a society. These include kindness, honesty, and other socially conscious behaviors. Any neglect of these leads to fear of violating our conscience. The problem is that life often brings these two natures into conflict, and when that conflict occurs, it creates intrapsychic tension, which stresses the brain. Therefore, a fundamental tenet of mental health is to develop mature coping mechanisms and healthy ways to minimize intrapsychic conflict. In light of the natural conflict created by the duality of our natures, the only healthy way to minimize intrapsychic tension is to live by spiritual principles. Why? Because spiritual principles allow us to honor our conscience while at the same time having the assurance that what we do for others will likewise be done for us. The spiritual principles, which proceed from the moral mind, include honesty, integrity, charity, humility, gratitude, faith, hope, and love. We cannot change the way we are made, but we can conform to the way we are made and thereby reduce our level of inner tension. With this in mind, let us look at how adherence to the spiritual principles can help minimize intrapsychic tension. All of us know, for instance, that being dishonest creates a sense of uneasiness inside. That's because it violates the spiritual principle of honesty. That naturally raises the question, why would anyone ever choose to be dishonest? The answer is that we sometimes think that being dishonest is necessary in order to get what we want. The truth, however, is that deception actually interferes with getting what we want because it is counterfeit. It is like writing a bad check, and it will eventually bounce. Conversely, when we adhere to the principle of honesty, we earn the trust of others, which then inspires them to help us get what we want. Being honest also attracts God's favor because God is truth, and He honors those who honor Him. Thus, being honest not only helps us get what we want, but it also helps us feel secure and supported because it strengthens our relationships with our fellow human beings and with God, who is our Creator and Redeemer. Another example of the way that adherence to the spiritual principles reduces inner tension is through the principle of forgiveness. To the carnal mind, forgiveness seems unfair because it pardons the debtor without reclaiming what was lost. However, the spiritual reality is that when we forgive others, we not only free them of the malice we would otherwise have toward them, but we also free ourselves of the same malice by refusing to allow it to exist in our own heart. It also allows us to lay claim to God's forgiveness for our own offenses. Letting go of all that negativity reduces mental tension, which in turn reduces stress on the neurological system of the brain. Like all the other spiritual principles, honesty and forgiveness are based on an invisible reality, that all of us are connected in spirit just as all the members of the physical body are connected physically. This overarching truth is summarized by the overarching principle known as the Golden Rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The Golden Rule embodies the principle of love and proceeds from the fact that the future of our own life will be a reflection of the life that we have sought for others. This profound reality removes the temptation toward selfishness that threatens to violate our conscience and calls us to a life of inner peace. It exposes the folly of competition and embraces the wisdom of the spiritual principles. The spiritual principles are as reliable as the physical laws that we trust with our lives every day. They are in fact more reliable than the physical laws because they are the root of the physical laws. It is a scientific fact that the essence of all matter is energy, or spirit. Hence, the physical laws are necessarily rooted in the spiritual laws. Though we cannot see the spiritual laws physically, neither can we see the laws of gravity or aerodynamics physically, yet we can see their power every day as we watch falling objects spontaneously race to the ground and heavy metal aircraft magically floating on the air. Spiritual principles are the light of the mind. They are the cornerstone of mental and emotional health because of the peace that they engender in the mind and heart. Although inner peace and spiritual health in general do not change the innate excitability of the brain, they do reduce the demands on the brain, which can go a long way toward keeping the brain from becoming pathologically hyperactive. Indeed, nothing can be more calming to the mind and brain than the spirit of love and time spent in prayerful meditation. In addition, the spirit of love turns off negative brain circuitry and turns on positive brain circuitry, which improves mood and boosts energy. So significant are these effects that it has been said that the brain is wired for love. Love is a unifying force that magically strengthens relationships, reduces tension, generates healing, attracts favor, and ultimately draws us into the kingdom of love, which is heaven. Life in this world is but a dream because, like a dream, it comes to an end, whereas the love that we bear while we are in this world endures forever. We hope that you are benefiting from this video series. Portions of this video and others in this series were taken from the books The Racing Mind and Am I Depressed or Am I Bipolar? Those interested in developing a deeper understanding of this topic can also refer to the scientific publication The Multi-Circuit Neuronal Hyperexcitability Hypothesis of Psychiatric Disorders. Please note that these materials in this video series are for educational purposes only and are not intended to guide treatment without formal evaluation. This video series is sponsored by the Binder Foundation, a charitable organization that is dedicated to the enhancement of human life through research and education on disorders of the mind, body, and spirit. If you have found this video to be a benefit to you, please share it with your family and friends. And please don't forget, your feedback is important to us.